About the topic.
Sorry, I missed that. What's that?
I'm saying I made 2 TikToks and Reels about the topic.
Oh, nice. You should flip them to me. I'd like to see. That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
I think there is like for sure, it's kind of like if you are in crypto at the moment, the worst things that can happen to you is to have the American passport in general. And
unfortunately for us.
Yeah. And I think that it's interesting that, for example, like I don't want to say pro or against Binance or Coinbase, but I think like as I wrote today that the taxpayer system is broken in that way, because like the SEC should work to ensure investors and taxpayers, and the only way to secure taxpayers is to have a conversation about oh, you are using this application, you are using this token, okay, how is decentralized, how is it is like an ownership, they can update things, and this is like, okay, I'm securing taxpayers about try to go against like not decentralized things, and I don't think I think it's pretty much meaningless if they do an ICO, how they receive funds, and there's like, so I think the problem is that it's totally like a wrong, like discussion that the SEC have in general, the SEC have in general. So, and I strongly believe that the situation and why Coinbase is trying to figure it out how to go away from this makes sense, because like with this not clear regulation, like you as a SEC, you have like this kind of like of infinite power, because you can say that everything is a security, or you can say that everything is illegal in a totally like, a way that you just want. So I think it totally doesn't make sense in general.
Yeah. Good discussion.
And here I think it's interesting how different the perspective on custodial solutions is in comparison of Europe and USA, where in Europe they're basically saying and making a law that if you keep your crypto not on Binance or Kraken or any other like custodial solution for holding your money, you basically can't make crypto transaction. And in the US, it's kind of, I would say, a bit different, where they are going against the biggest custodial solutions for storing your crypto.
Right. Yep. Hey, all the users who have joined, Lete, Angel King, Non Corleone, the lawyer, welcome everyone. We got Tommy.
Welcome.
Non-believer.
I think that it's a very boomer discussion. Like, if I have to be clear, like I like decentralized project that they don't need to have this kind of discussions. It's just boring and stupid, because like this industry started with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is there because it's legit, not because it's legal in any way possible. And so I think that, okay, I am pretty much interested to this kind of projects and checks and stuff, who they are, not decentralized enough, or who they have like spatial ownership, or they are just the checks that store your money. But I think that it's like, I like to see projects made by Anons where you don't have to trust them. It's pretty much cooler, and I think this will be the future of the industry anyway. And the more accounts you do like this, the more the direction is this one. And probably this run will be made by something like this, probably. So I just want to see the interesting stuff. It will be like when this regulation will go forward, and they will go to all of this, multi-sig DAOs and say to them, oh, you should do this and this and that, and it will be interesting what will happen there. But for now, I mean, it's just like this. So, but by the way, with all of the chaos we made by this, misunderstanding for me on using spaces. Thank you, John and Adam. I think we missed the beginning.
we're gonna go. Yeah, chaos Toshi spaces.
We'll jump into it now.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll jump into it now. Welcome everyone.
Yes.
Welcome everyone to our weekly AMA series, where us as a team we're jumping up here, diving into your questions, specifically on what we got to talk about yesterday on our first weekly episode of The Non, talking about our marketing direction as well as the new token factory. And we have several questions that got dropped to us. We're going to start with those. But if you have a question, post them in the chat here, and we will be getting to those as well. Our people from the team we have here today, we have Jip, we have myself, JPN, we have Toshi, and we have our UX DAO, who is one of our designers, John, here. We welcome everyone here, and thanks for tuning in today. And we'll get started here with a question. This is one from... I wanted to start with the one from Leith here. You posted several questions. Thank you for them. But we'll go ahead and start regarding providing liquidity. I recall that it requires 5,000 non, which is quite a lot for most people. Will this amount be adjusted in the future? Or is there a plan to design a combined liquidity pool to allow more users to participate? I'll get started here. That's for the 5,000 non pool is the one for dividends farming. There's also a separate one where you can farm just non, and there's no minimum for that. But Toshi, I think this opens up something else. For the bazaar, do we plan to continue to have a dividends farm option as well as a traditional non-farm option when we jump to the bazaar here?
Yeah. So yes, but what will happen is that we basically there's a lot of things to say about this, and so basically the new direction is that so we will remove farming like as you know it. Because the contracts about farming, it will be based on the bazaar. And so it will be like this. So the bazaar have its own, internal farming. So you have your own liquidity pool that is already like a farming contract. So you just need to send the money there. And what we add is something we call we should still our communication team is still finding the right name, but it's a reverse farming. So it's you have this specific farming contract, for example, with ETH, okay? And what's happened is that to farm, obviously, you send a liquidity pool into this farming contract, and you receive ETH as farming. But what's happened is that, obviously, this liquidity pool earn rewards from the farming built into the bazaar. And so in our specific case, because when people can create this contract, they can decide where this rewards go. In our specific case, the rewards from non, they are burned. So this means that if you do if you farm with ETH for the dividends farming, you are basically also burning some non from the rewards, which is kind of double cool. And yeah, so we are changing this thing, and it will be dividends in this way. It will be still in the bazaar.
Nice. So dividends farming still happening, and I think for now we're keeping the 5,000 non-requirement for that one, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Hey,
and there you have it.
Everybody in the audience, real quick,
yes.
If you can take the link for the spaces, if you don't mind, let's tweet it out. Let's get some more folks in here, get some more people listening to these great questions about the non-ecosystem. So if you feel inclined, go ahead and grab that spaces link and tweet it out. Send it to your buddies.
Yeah. And really, the dividends farm is nice in a way because it encourages, these very large LPs to jump into the Uniswap pool that otherwise likely wouldn't, maybe not even for farming rewards. And it's really us helping to pay for really good, deep liquidity for the market cap that we have. So I see a lot of advantage to having, the dividends farm, and having that stick around, I think, is an overall boon to, letting some of the very large players in the space who hold non to put it up as liquidity when they otherwise might not.
Right. Good incentive there.
Yeah, it's just a way also like to differentiate like the investment. So like if you're a holder, you can decide. So do you think it's more convenient to farm and receive Ethereum? You go there. And if you think it's more convenient to receive non, you just add liquidity in the bazaar. And so I think this is kind of like great in general. And you reduce also like in the long term, like some kind of, of whales, because obviously like whales sometimes like they are like maybe incentivized to put some non into, this kind of farming and like with ETH. And so they are not earning you non.
Right.
And that's good for small people to become whales and to whales to become less whale during this inflation and deflation game. So
yeah, it's a really cool and interesting system. And we'll dive into that, I think, a little bit more next week, going over what all we have in the protocol. But I want to jump on to the next question, which is related to this other one. It's referring to some of the features of the bazaar. And the question also from Leaf is, how long can orders be kept in the bazaar? What's the difference between trading on it and trading on a CEX? And are there other fees involved?
oh yeah, so that's a cool question. So for example, when you create orders like in the bazaar, it's kind of like similar to create order in a check. So you just have this amount of money which are in the order, and what's happening is that if the order is filled, like or partially filled, you just have into the order like your less of your token or Ethereum you put and the counterpart. And it's cool because if you think about like the fees involved on this, there's these like the liquidity pool fees, which go into liquidity pool, and so it's like also like a very cool, way to reduce impermanent losses, having more fees from something which is not rebalanced, which is not like change too much like the pool. It gives you the possibility to have, if you have a lot of orders into a pool, you have also like a lot of trades that can happen with zero price impact because they fill the orders, which is already super cool. And also for users, like they don't understand the difference for the regular users who just swap, because the swap function automatically match the liquidity pool and the orders. And also this work for bots because orders are on chain. And so it's not like OpenSea orders who are off chain or this kind of thing. It's totally like on chain orders. And so, yeah, it's kind of like an interesting new things there. And so, yeah, it's a regular LP. Is that, and there is like, obviously, if the collection of NFTs or token have royalties, it's also like counted royalties. But like in regular ways, it's just the LP fees.
Nice.
Yeah, orders in the bazaar are going to be a big thing. They are they're a CEX element that's really not widely available on DEXs yet, and so I think it's going to open up some really interesting possibilities for on-chain trading here.
Yeah, and as and seeing Binance and everything that's happening with that, right? I mean, we have an opportunity for some market penetration here with such an innovative order system and things like that, right? Kind of taking the best from Chexes and implementing it onto a DEX. It's going to be pretty cool. Non-Corleone, thank you for tweeting it out. I saw that, and somebody else just tweeted out as well. By the way, keep up the memes, Non-Corleone. I've been watching them this week. They've been pretty good. So
yeah. Also, like I see some great question from him. Like also, like in my post today, I think. Let me check.
Nice. We've got 11 folks here. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. And this will be a weekly event, week in and week out. So you can plan on it. So next time, grab your friends and drag them to the space. And we can teach them all about Non and all the stuff going on in the ecosystem.
So
yeah, and if anyone has a question they want to get brought up here to ask their question, they're welcome to. I think we have one request here, Jip, if you want to get to them.
Sure, we'll let Toshi speak first. But yeah, absolutely. This is not formal. This is a fun time to hang out and chat and chill. So yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Toshi.
Yeah, sorry, because I was looking for a question that I totally forgot, so I didn't hear. Sorry, I have like a headphones problem.
I thought you had found the question. It's all good. No worries. Let's see. I believe non-believer 9999 had a question here. Are you still wanting to speak, non-believer? If so, you can raise your hand and come up onto the floor, and we'll let you speak. It's a fun time to hang out and get some questions answered, things like that.
Can I get some?
Okay. All right, I'm gonna.
Can I get some question we have that we have here that we didn't answer already before?
Yeah, the written one. Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
So. Can you explain more about ERC20 standard usage in the Non platform? It will be expanded somehow compared to all other ERC20 or the same? It will have some form of metadata and it will be relation between ERC20 and its factory, Macy. Thank you, Macy, for this question, because it's something which I'm very happy to talk about. So, first of all, the factory of ERC20 standard, it's kind of like finally in the space like a good factory for ERC20, because everyone can create their own ERC20 in general. Yes, they have metadata finally, and also like they can set royalties. And also like the function that we are introducing in ERC20 is, all of the classic ERC20 functions. Plus also they can set a bar fee, they can set a reflection, and they can set the liquidity pool fee directly into the bazaar. And also we have the factories for 1155, and so to create NFT collections. And in all of the ecosystem, all of these things are totally already integrated. So what does this mean? That, for example, if you have an ERC20, okay, like, and you want to create a DAO, okay, so all of the contracts which are related to, voting, the contracts inside the DAO, or for example, like, the delegations and so on, they are already like whitelisted and they're out for every kind of this kind of fees and so on. And so like also for, projects who are not like very into the knowledge about how the blockchain works in general, they can just use all of the ecosystem without have zero issue, and having these different fees and these different, economic tests. So it's pretty much cool. And also,
very cool.
And also, one important thing about the new business model is that like most of the new business model into the known, it's based on locking liquidity forever into the bazaar. Which this means more trades, which this means more earning for the DAO. And so, for example, like you will be able to create very secure NFT drops or ICOs, which are fantastic how it will work. And the only thing that we ask is not money for all of these things to the DAO, but is to lock a percentage forever into the bazaar. And this will be very great for two reasons. One is for the end users of these different projects, because they know for sure that these tokens will be liquid forever. And second is good for us as a business model, because we know that will be always the possibility to have trades for all of these projects and tokens and so on. The same for creating a DAO. So for example, creating a DAO, you should have at least some percentage locked into the bazaar. And also like we are building like some kind of incentives for people who create tokens and NFTs to lock the liquidity into some kind of way. So yeah, so all of this factory will be like very, very interesting to see. It's like an insurance, and also like a way to create more and more earnings for the DAO.
Which is a non-holder, you guys should understand. I mean, that's always primary focus, right? Is for the holders, things like that. So I think that's great.
Yeah, liquidity. We talked about it some, both on the podcast and on the weekly, the non. That is a metric for protocols. How much liquidity do you actually have? How much can you actually be able to trade the token? And promoting liquidity and trying to make sure that there's liquidity in the bazaar is good for those tokens, and it's also really good for the bazaar. Getting the volume through there, getting fees in there, making sure people can always have a place to trade this.
Exactly.
Also,
makes it sustainable.
Next question. Earning from delegation is a great idea, but there is a problem that for user with small amount of holdings, delegation process sometimes require a large amount of gas. As the ecosystem develops, number of votes to be delegated increases. Any good way to reduce gas costs? Okay. So gas costs lower than the financial threshold for participation in governance and increase the participation. We have a different strategy for this, and it's also great. So first of all, into the new version, because like I think that the problem is the incentives. First of all, so now delegation are not incentivized to have a lot of participation, because there is this split at this block, and so they are just incentivized to have as much participant as possible only into the splitter moment. And we already solved this with this kind of like farming like thing for receiving the grants time to time. Second, now everything is very cheaper, so it's kind of like a different system. And third, for example, we introduced these things, which I think is very important. So tokens can have, like the burn fee or this kind of things. Okay. But, and this will be implemented in the first place in if you hold delegation tokens, you can transfer the tokens without paying any fee. And you still if these tokens had a reflection, you still get a reflection reward. Because we strongly believe that the value of the participation into the delegation is fundamental for the future. And this will be very, very incentivize people to select a delegation and participate on it in general. Also, like now delegations, they can't vote as a delegation. You directly vote into the main DAO with your delegation token. And also, when you create a DAO, you can have different values for delegation token holder and liquidity token holder of this specific token pool. And so this means that, for example, like in our case, delegation token holders will have more power than just regular token holders. And this is to incentivize as much as possible, like participation into various delegation and also like people to make delegation. It will be like totally different from the ecosystem we have right now. So it will be very, very interesting to see what will happen there.
It's funny because even the ecosystem we have right now incentivizes participation so much more than like a regular DAO or something like this for holders. And yet here we go again, and we're going to be, you know, even changing the game there and making participation so much more rewarded and things like that. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And especially
being a non-holder is the best.
Yeah, and especially like into the whole interface and stuff. Like for example, if you are in the bazaar and you want to, you know, trade with your delegation token, everything which is correlated by wrap and wrap into the original known and sell or buy, it's automatically. So without need that the delegation token have liquidity, you can just buy the delegation token. That's another cool part for what we did. So it will be very, very cool in general. And it will be also
Very
way
cool.
easier to see all of this stuff. So
very cool. Do we want to get to a live question? I mean, before we invite anybody up here, obviously,
yeah.
you know, we can't, you know, go into, you know, we can't answer, you know, with things with regards to timeline, things like that, you know, as we know, as the audits are progressing and the UX UI, things like that. But feel free to come on up here and ask your questions. So I'm going to add non-believer right now. Thank you for being patient, non-believer.
Non-believer
9999. 9999. I can't tell if it's like German, like no, or...
Hello? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hello, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can hear you. How's it
Great.
going?
How's it going? Just
Good.
just
How
a
are
quick
you?
intro. So I'm actually on the Telegram chat SV. I've been posting a lot quite actively, and even VW2W on Discord. And
cool.
And
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And just I guess the key question that I have, and a lot of people that are seriously considering sort of looking at the prospects of this token is that thing about the transfer tax, right? That people still don't have full clarity on. And I heard your last podcast, and I mean, most people get the fact that you need to have earnings, and you have inflation, you need to have something to sort of offset the inflation, so you need to have earnings. But the big question that everyone who's like a serious holder has is, doesn't the tooling that you provide already, the SDK, everything, have potential to earn enough to offset the inflation such that you don't need to also have this transfer tax? Like, I understand, like, practically people are not going to really be impacted by it. But as a new guy coming in, the first thing you hear about a transfer tax sort of spells like memes and tokens that don't have true utility. And it sort of tells me as a holder that, hey, the DAO doesn't have the potential to actually have true earnings from the utility it's providing from their tooling. Hence, they need to supplement it with this additional transfer tax thing, right? Yeah. In the same way that Apple doesn't earn by charging people for moving their shares from like Schwab to another brokerage account every time they trade. They earn by creating iPhones, right?
So
here,
first of all,
product, yeah. So just
first of all, I ask you, have you ever used the non-data platform?
Yeah, actually, I'm affiliated with the Active Traders delegation, so we used it recently.
Yes. Okay, so first of all, as I already like replied on Discord, for example, the burn tax, okay, which is the thing you're talking. It's it's have like, have you ever voted into the non-beta gov, and you see like how like all of the sub-DAOs works, for example?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this there is a sub-DAO. So for example, when we release the platform, it will be 1%, but people can vote to change it actually, and so it's just like an initial setup. But it will be, and so the coolest thing about this is that by the earnings and everything, so people will be also like able to manage, like the fees of the platform, the burn fee, and whatever. And so like playing in different like scenarios where there is more earnings, less earnings, and everything, to always like maintain like a perfect economy into this. So that's like the coolest part. So it's not like a tax which is added and that's it, but these are a tax which is like voted, and so people can just vote on it. And also remember that
That's actually great to hear, and I would just to interrupt. I would just make that like very clear on like the Discords and the Telegrams, because I think it gets lost in a lot of messages, and this is the first thing most people think about. First thing, because it sort of screams like a project that can't earn true earnings from their utility, hence they're sort of supplementing it with this sort of side.
Yeah, we're actually the only one who can earn from utility at the moment. So and
I mean, there's a couple
also like
GMX and stuff like that. But
yeah, GMX, ENS also they have earnings. And also like another interesting thing is that as I just said, I think it's pretty cool to see like people more incentivized into delegation, for example. And so, for example, if there is like a burn tax in general, people who have their token like into the delegations, so wrapped into delegations token, they don't pay any tax. Right. And so this also like incentivize people more and more into different economic conditions to stake and support delegations instead of just holding. And I think this will be also like very interesting.
Yeah, no, I think it's actually super interesting. The more I think about it, I think, hey, wait, it does make sense. Why not make some money on this stuff? It's just that it's a path-breaking new thing to be doing, which then people sort of initially treat with skepticism. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Right?
Yeah, probably I think it's my fault because probably I just described it as wrong into the article, probably.
Yeah.
And we will do like a better explanatory thing soon. Because I don't want to hide this like into with the marketing team. Like we are trying to create like a web page, like I don't remember the name. Fuck. Like ultrasound money. Like ultrasound money. That you see the economy and the burn and inflation now, and you see after, and you can see like about what is happening, how all the economic change. So I think it will be pretty interesting, and we will explain very good like the economics into this. And so it's just a question of some weeks, and everyone will have it.
We're working on that now. It's really, really, really exciting, actually.
But thank you for the question, because I'm very happy to give more explanation into this. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Can I just ask like one other quick one, because I'm in Asia and I'm probably going to go to sleep soon. So
yeah, sure.
So sure. So the other big one is sort of whenever I'm telling people about the project, try to educate them about it. Like everyone sort of like, I mean, the feedback I put it on Telegram now too is like it's not a very easy project to kind of understand for the layman, right? And I think that having like a TLDR pitch on like, listen, this is what we're trying to do. This is the grandiose ambition. This is the tokenomics, and this is why it's like a real yield sort of real token that is actually going to be able to earn itself. Like we need to come up with like a small quick blurb that will at least get people interested and peaked so that they can kind of understand it. I looked through a bunch of videos and stuff over a bunch of time to kind of get a better understanding myself. But I think that because it's a complex one, we kind of need to come up with like a quick, easy speaker or something that will get people interested, right? And my actual question, sorry, more was with this Grand Bazaar. One of the biggest things about a marketplace is that initial liquidity thing, right? Are you guys going to sort of integrate with Matcha, 1inch, like other aggregators to also include Bazaar in
Yep.
their sort of
Yep.
algorithms?
Yeah. We are working to talk
And
with
they've
all
got
of the
limit
teams.
orders too. Like, how different is the limit order in Grand Bazaar versus like our bots on 1inch or 0x?
Yeah, it's kind of easy for them because they can just use our router and they don't need to implement these things by themselves. So if they just call the router to do the trades, the router automatically have the implementation from routing, orders, and liquidity, and so it's pretty much easy to integrate like for all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cool thing, just to speak on orders real quick, Toshi, is the orders are a little bit different. Orders in like some of the other programs, they just look for a price to hit a certain target, and then they buy X amount from a liquidity pool. You still suffer slippage.
Yeah.
With real on-chain orders, there's no slippage when you go through an order. You get 1,000 tokens at $1 a piece or whatever the order was, and you don't have to pay any slippage on it whatsoever when it's through the order. So they route sort of differently. They're all their own little perfect pools, and our routers meant to go through both limit orders and the liquidity pool, find the best price, partially fill orders. So it's better than most of the existing solutions that try to do orders either through concentrated liquidity, pulling in and out, or just looking for a certain price to be hit on a DEX pool. These are real orders that work much more akin to a CEX than what currently exists on a lot of platforms.
Got it.
Yeah. And that was a great question, by the way. What you're describing has always been a traditional challenge for us, right? Non-believer, because just exactly how comprehensive what we're building is, right? It's like you tell people and like,
it's like you need what is the product?
They're so used to
tokenomics,
projects
and
with
why
like,
does value accrue
one
to the
scope
token?
in DeFi or one scope in governance or one scope
Yeah.
as a DAO or something like this. And to be able, not to just describe the parts of the egg, but to describe the egg itself so people can really understand the power. It's challenging, and it has always been a challenge,
Yep.
right? To be able to describe ethos and non exactly, to people in a succinct and easy to understand way, because it is so powerful. Like, it has so many components and so many aspects and so many benefits. It's like, how do you put your finger on the one thing that makes them say, oh, I get it, after reading, a one sentence blurb or something like this, But at the same time, understanding with that level of simplicity the power, in of what it is that has been built is so important, right? And then also you have your different user types, right? You have your investor, you have your your holder, your DAO member, and you have builders. And I mean, there are different aspects. There's so much there that there's different aspects for each different user type as well. And so being able to come up with one unifying vision statement or positioning statement for several different use cases and user types is challenging. And that's one of the things that us as a marketing team that we're coming on board and looking at every day, right, is how do we solve this communication and immediately impart the value proposition to people in the first 15 seconds who read something and they say, oh wow, like this is literally like the base layer of Ethereum. This is huge. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's difficult,
Yeah, it's like I would just say, what is the product? What are the tokenomics? Why does value accrue to the token? And what's going to drive this?
Right.
What
I can
needs to happen
try.
for value to accrue?
I can try to do a quick introduction. Like, the product is everything around the project. So imagine a platform that you have the AMM, which is designed for altcoins, and on top of this, it's built like ERC20 and NFT maker, makers to make ICOs and NFT drops, and the most sophisticated application for governing money. And all of this, they are secure by design because they are cloned by factories. And so it's not like a website to build the code and deploy it, but it's secure, cloned by the blockchain. And so it's like what you see is what you get 100% of the time. and you can just be focused on your real product and not what is about, oh, I manage the money, oh, I create a token, oh, my liquidity strategy. And so I think this can be like a comprehensive guides, I think. But
yeah, and that, yeah,
My
that's
final
actually
recommendation,
great.
again, just to dumb it down, would be make up like, hey, suppose you're going to create a new corp dex. This is how you could use our product. Suppose you're going to create a new NFT marketplace. This is how you could use our product. Suppose you're going to, pick like 4 or 5 dumbed down examples saying, hey, I'm if I want to do this and create a dApp to do this, I could
Right.
use this product because it gives me XYZ. And then that just makes it really clear, because putting the hypotheticals is always much more difficult than just a real life made up example.
yeah.
Right, the use cases.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I could
Definitely.
keep going forever, but I don't want to spot the stage. Thanks for
Yeah, I hope you come back next week,
Yeah.
non-believer. This has been
I'm
great.
I'm on
This is the
Discord,
type of
Telegram. You see me all the
conversations.
time.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is exactly what we, created the Telegram for, and hopefully we, as the weeks go on, we're getting a lot more users in there, and hopefully week in and week out, we're getting a lot more people in here and having these incredibly interesting conversations, things like this, right? That push
And
understanding.
the sooner you guys push this out, the sooner I can sort of extend it to my community. And sort of
Right.
about it.
That's yeah.
And then
we're
there's also the
working on
reputational
redoing
risk
the,
of there's also the reputational risk of not knowing when it's gonna launch. So it's always a slight
Yeah.
problem because
Yeah.
everyone might just look at the current UX, which honestly was very difficult. We had issues even with that.
Yeah, we are working.
But it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to say too much when you have like an unknown timeline that isn't even like a vague period. But yeah.
Agreed. And part of the vision, right, for the new design for the UX, things like this. I mean, when people, land in the system and they're able to see what they can build and what they can create, I mean, it's literally, it's going to be mind blowing, So, absolutely. But yes, we need to get that information first and foremost at the top of the non-nation website, right? Of this is exactly what this is, right? And that's the challenge. Like I said, that has always been the traditional challenge. There is so much meat on the bone here. There is so much good stuff in the project and what we've built that it's hard to say it succinctly and to say it in a short, because you can't take 5 minutes, obviously, right? So you lose attention span. So.
Okay, so now I want to go forward with the other questions written that I have here. So
yeah, we have a few more in the Toshi on your list, and then I also see one from Non-Frog that we might be able to get to real quick here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one from Non-Frog that I think we can address pretty quickly here is, will we be able to create orders via the bazaar on Optimism, or will the bazaar and all its functions exist on layer 1?
Okay, so this is pretty much easy. All of our ecosystem will be deployed at the day one, both on mainnet and on Optimism.
Boom.
And second, we will also look for once we have deployed, we will also look to go pretty much everywhere this time, because this is the real first version. And so it's not the beta that is not like just useful to have pretty much everywhere. It was good to have also Optimism to study, like, all of the colonies things and this kind of stuff. But now we have made everything perfect, and it's time to go everywhere. And also, the more network we will go, the more it will be easier for people to have this connected, governances between different layers. You can have revenues in different layers and put into your own governance. So.
And I gotta say, I used Optimism post Bedrock here earlier this week. Like sub 10-cent fees to do stuff there. It is ridiculously cheap and fast now.
That's
it's
cool.
Very cool.
That's cool. Unfortunately, I think that, for example, like our own main governance, it would be like still layer 1, because I think Optimism is the only layer 2 who have a roadmap to stop having this totally control of the upgradability. But until a layer all of the layers, they have this shit, we will stay like in our main governance layer 1, because I want to make all of our funds and also like all of our users totally secure. This is my first thing in this.
Yeah, and you don't want the sequencer to run out of gas or something and prevent you from doing transactions. Looking at you, Arbitrum.
Toshi, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm horrified by this, not just saw it.
I know, and I saw your tweet. I saw your tweet about the. The centralization of layer 2s, and I would have to agree.
Man, but
guys,
we were talking about Gary Gensler before and SIC, but imagine like a crazy Gary Gensler tomorrow who will go to different teams and say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and they have this power. I mean, not because they are bad, but if you have this power, it's kind of like difficult when your country come to you and say, oh, you should do this to be compliant, and you go to jail if not. You don't give a shit about, your fake, forum DAO, and you just do it. That's it.
No, you think about your kids or your family or something like this, right? I mean, these are real life pressures and consequences.
Yeah.
And when backdoors are built and you have this ability,
it's the point of
you
failure
don't know
of that.
what could be used. Exactly. It's the exact point of failure. You don't know what could be used to influence or to exploit this.
Yeah.
So,
in fact,
you can't
this is also
build it
why,
to begin with.
This is also why like our research is more complex and long than others, because like, okay, so people can kill me tomorrow, people can kill Vaza tomorrow, people can kill all of us tomorrow, but things will continue to go forward. So the whole ecosystem will continue to go forward. It's totally independent from us.
Yep.
It's not like dependent on us for doing pretty much anything. So that's why it's the difference between, like something which will drive the next innovation and something which is like, like just a piece, but it's not like the end goal of the blockchain.
Yeah.
If this is not the future of the blockchain, so I'm bored about the industry in general, because it's meaningless, the industry in a whole. So
yeah, yep. And I just want to mention, you were talking about, Toshi, with the different earnings and the layers and things like this. Like, guys, this has been the challenge of building what has been built, and almost imagining almost every single use case, right? That could be used, right? That's what Non-Nation is built for, right? That's what the Non is built for. And so, release has been a long time coming. The design, it takes a long time to build an inch deep and a mile wide
also,
to imagine every single use case.
Plus also thinking everything in factories. So it's easy to create your own contract for your own shit. When you have to think about, that should be a factory that people will use and customize their own contract with zero assumption about stealing money from other people, trust me, it's a different things to build. And every that we build is built in this way. So that's why it's like, okay, so we build Solana in 10 minutes or we build Act 2.0. It's kind of like this, the difference in the challenge.
Yep. Yeah. For sure.
Well, I think we had 2 or 3 more questions. Toshi, if you want to get to those, and then we'll wrap here for the day.
Yeah, sure.
This has been great. We're going to be here, week in and week out. And, it's been about an hour, and hopefully, we'll have a stimulating conversation like this for an hour a week and get to these amazing questions.
So there is like non-frog, what type of audit are occurring with the contracts? And if you're able to share, how are they progressing? So first of all, like we had, like in the short term, we have a very few delay in this, but in the whole process, it will be very, very faster than what it will. So the most, and I will talk about this in an episode in the future about like when we killed items. Items was, at some point we figured out that item it's a very cool technology, but it's like Apple when they built I don't remember the name of the real first iPad, like how was the name?
The Newton.
So it's okay. It's very cool, but it's not the right moment. And it's very complex. It's make like everything else more complex to, to have security. It's create a lot of problems with every of the website you use. So at the end of the day, like, okay, item is so cool, but if all of the application out there, they have problem to read it because it's going pretty much out from the standards, it's just not the right time to have something like this. And so we had this small delay in the beginning to switch between like regular ERC20s and 1155, but this will save, like if we lost 1 month, this will save 2 months into the audit. And cool stuff, like imagine that every token, every DAO, everything you create from us, it's automatically audited because you have 100% security that there's no issues. So that's also like a very cool stuff. Stop spending money on the fucking auditors. But by the way, and also like
tell us how you really feel.
And also like another cool thing is that we are approaching this phase 1 of audit, and I think after this phase 1 of audit there will be like an update, and probably we will push something in testnet, and then there will be like the phase 2 of audit, and we will push like all of the other things in testnet, and then there will be like the mainnet release. So for this, it's we are trying to do everything and as fast as possible, actually. But we are finally at this moment, so it's very cool to be here now after this 1.5 years of research. So
it's pretty amazing. Hey Toshi, don't sleep on the Newton. If you own a Newton right now, you can sell it for 5 times what an iPad is. A Newton in mint shape goes for a lot of money.
Yeah, probably an item will be the same. We don't know.
It's true. It's very true. Oh man, good questions, good discussion. Do we have any more before we wrap? Time check. It's about 1 hour.
I'm trying to reading
right now,
I'm trying to reading here if there is some questions.
And thank you for everybody with your patience with us getting going with the spaces. We're kind of new to this. This was my first spaces this week. This was Toshi's first space this week. So we're just getting used to the system, but definitely look forward to this. This is such a great format to have these great discussions.
Yeah, there is just a couple of questions we left behind. It will be very, very quick to reply. So in terms of marketing, are there any plans to collaborate or engage in discussion with other well-known protocols and teams? Joint marketing at the launch can bring greater exposure. We are trying right now to be in contact with most of them. So you will see.
Yep.
What is launching next? Just the bazaar? No. In the day 1 of the launch in mainnet, you will have the whole ecosystem. We learned from the past that launching step by step is a very bad idea. So by the day 1, you will have the whole ecosystem. That's for sure.